Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining me, whether you're here live right now with me or you're just watching this replay. I'm Leah Santa Cruz, and that's actually my last name. I live in Bali in Indonesia, but I am American, and I've been teaching meditation now for over a decade, going on 12 years now, and a big reason why people come to meditation these days has to do with sleep, trying to improve sleep. And I just have heard across the board from most people I know that there is, in some way, shape, or form, some difficulties with sleep. So I think it's a really big epidemic that we're dealing with across the world. And it doesn't really matter what culture you're from or where in the world you live or what kind of circadian rhythms you've got going on. So I think it really comes down to a lot of the things that we're being exposed to throughout the day or not being exposed to. And so there are some um, little tools and helpful techniques I'm going to share with you today that hopefully sets you off on a slightly better path to reset your circadian rhythms and know how to navigate some of those biological shifts that can happen throughout the day. And then how to deal with racing thoughts at night, which a lot of people struggle with. And then I'm going to guide you at the end through a little brief sleep meditation and then open it up for any questions and answers at the end. So that's what we're in for. Thanks again for being here. Let's just all take a deep breath in and long exhale. That felt pretty good. We're going to do that one more time. Inhale. Feel your shoulders relax as you exhale and release any tension from your body. And now I'm going to ask you to take 2 sharp in-breaths through your nose and then 1 sigh out your mouth like this. So that's a really helpful practice to help reset your nervous system. If you just did that a couple breaths, you're going to find a big shift take place if you're feeling a little anxious or a little unsettled, a little wired. That's a really fast way to start to shift into that relaxation response. Okay, so now we're feeling all a little bit better. I just want to ask you this sort of rhetorical question. You don't have to answer out loud, but feel free to share in the chat if you're live with me. What is one word to describe how you feel about your sleep lately? Maybe it's peaceful or jubilant, or maybe it's unsettling, non-existent. Whatever the word is, think about what's really going on. How would you describe your sleep? It's going to help you tune into um, where you're at right now, a little pulse check. And so as we move forward, I just want to remind you that there are some simple routines that you can do throughout your daytime that I'm going to share with you in a moment. But first, I'm going to start with just some nighttime rituals. I know that some of you are getting prepared for the night right now. Other people are right in the smack middle of your day watching this. So wherever you are right now, there's something you can do pretty much immediately to help with your sleep tonight and moving forward. So a couple simple practices that can help you if it's evening time right now would be to create for yourself a digital sunset. If you can, 60 minutes before bed, an hour before bed, try to limit or eliminate completely your screen usage. And then that includes TVs or iPads or just being on your phone, especially being off of social media. So this is really important for us, as you may have heard. There's so many reasons I can give you from a scientific perspective of why it's not great for us, but suffice it to say, if you just do yourself this little favor and start making that a habitual habit for yourself, you're going to already see huge shifts in your ability to fall asleep and stay asleep and have deeper levels of sleep. The other thing that I want to share, if it's evening time for you, is see if you can start to shift some of the lighting in your home. Maybe you have dimming or in your room or in your living room. If you can start to shift to like warm lighting versus cool lighting, that warm light is actually going to help tell your brain that it's starting to wind down. It's easier and safer to fall asleep. It's not thinking and confusing it with daytime as much. So the cool lights tend to be more triggering for our brain to stay more awake and more alert. And the warm temperatures help us calm down and get ready for sleep. So if you have a warm climate like me, I'm in Bali. I know one of you is in Maui and one of you is in San Diego and these warmer places. It's really important that you help cool your room down at night too, so that you're sleeping in cool temperature. And I found it really interesting to understand why, because everyone talks about this, but to really understand why is like really comes back from an ancestral evolutionary perspective where, back when we lived in tribal societies and tents and camps, and we didn't have all these big structures to protect us, we would have to be a little bit on guard at night. So when you fall asleep, actually your body's on a little bit more of alert. If you've ever seen someone fall asleep and their breathing suddenly shifts, and now suddenly they're revving a little stronger and their breath's a little bit deeper, well, that's because this person's brain, the conscious awareness rather, has gone a little bit more offline so the brain can do its cleaning and its healing work at night. And so that conscious mindset's not captaining the ship anymore. So the body becomes more alert, which is why it's prepared and ready to jump up if there is a potential threat. And threats come across as high temperatures because that could tell the body there's a fire in the camp. We need to be on alert and wake up so we can exit, right? So this is why our bodies still do that. When it's warm out, it's hard to fall asleep because the body's equating it with maybe it's a fire. Maybe I need to be vigilant and be awake right now. So try to do your best to cool your room temperature down, getting cool pillows and things like that. Having lighter covers if you can. And then create a little wind down ritual for yourself. It doesn't have to be anything super complex. It doesn't need to be at the same exact time every night. Try not to be too precious about it. But even if it's just something simple like having an herbal tea or lighting a candle, or maybe it's a journaling. I'll talk more about that, about brain dumping. And doing some gentle stretches is really helpful for a lot of people to wind down the body and help the muscles release the tension that you've been holding for the day so that you're not staying with it and reviewing it all in your sleep. And also, if you're going to do a tea, I just recommend that you don't do a caffeinated one, that you really do an herbal tea. Don't make that mistake. But this is something really simple. Maybe it's taking a bath or a shower and doing a simple routine like this. Just try to find ways that it's going to eventually, if you do the same thing over and over again, it's going to tell your body, oh, you'll get used to this happening before sleep. It'll become an association. So when I do this thing, my mind tells me, oh, I'm getting ready for sleep, and my body starts to follow suit. So try to set that up for yourself in your evening times to help you. If you're in the middle of the daytime watching this, or even if it's tomorrow that you start, you can start resetting your circadian rhythms right away in the daytime. So expose yourself to some light first thing. Within the first 30 to 60 minutes of waking up, ideally like a bright natural light in the morning. Maybe you go outside and you do a little walk, or you open up some windows and you allow yourself to be by the light. Doing that is going to influence the melatonin hormone in your body throughout the day and preparing you for better sleep at night, because that is your body's natural sleep hormone. And it's triggered by darkness. So when you get that bright natural light in the morning, especially in that first window of waking up, that first hour, it's going to help regulate your internal clock and tell your body, this is daytime. And later at night, your brain will be more likely to release melatonin at the right time. And so, as I was mentioning before with the screens, the blue light from the screens at night can delay the release of that sleep hormone melatonin, and that tricks your body into thinking it's still daytime. So try to swap your late night scrolling for something that's low light, something that's screen free, or just a ritual that's going to allow melatonin to do its job more appropriately. I learned about this thing called sleep pressure actually after I had a child. And I was learning about how to help my son sleep better. And then I learned that this applies to everyone, children and adults. There's something called sleep pressure. So you think of it as like this gentle force that's building throughout the day that pushes you towards rest. Think of it, you have like a jar, an empty jar, and you have some balls that you're going to put in the jar. And all the activities that you do throughout the day, and just time passing actually is going to add more balls into the jar. So when you do anything that's strenuous, adds more balls to the jar. When you do anything that requires physical activity, mental activity, just time passing is going to add more balls, sleep pressure. But if you take a nap, for example, you're going to pull some of those balls out. If you're let's say you just want to fill up that cup. You want to fill up that jar with as much balls as possible. So that way you have all this sleep pressure built up, which is going to force your body in towards rest, towards sleep. It's going to be driven by this chemical that we call adenosine. It's going to build up the longer that you're awake and the more exertion that you have. But if you are taking naps in the day, or you are drinking a lot of caffeine, or maybe you're stimulating yourself too much at night, like you're stress scrolling on social media or doom scrolling, that's going to disrupt your sleep pressure and make it harder to fall asleep at night. And the light that I talked about earlier is also going to play into this. Sunlight during the day helps your body know that, okay, it's time to be awake so I can properly wind down later. So just think of that sleep pressure as something that you need to build up through the day, and having some consistency, and trying not to apply naps in the middle of the day if you don't need to, if you're struggling to sleep at night. It's a little bit interesting when it comes to children. It's slightly different. Children who are young children actually still need to take naps in the daytime, so that doesn't apply to them. I'm just talking for adults with the nap thing. Children, it's actually really important that they get their naps in during the daytime. If they're still within that time frame, that window of time where they're taking naps, usually under the age of 3, in order for them to sleep better at night. But that's a whole other call about children's sleep cycles, which is slightly different than adults. So you can ask yourself this question: what kind of tired are you typically feeling? What kind of tired are you typically feeling? There's a couple different nervous system types. Some people have a tired, but I'm wired kind of type of nervous system. So even though you know you're tired, you're still overstimulated, you're still anxious. If that sounds like you, then probably best that you use some calming practices to regulate your nervous system, like extended exhaling, some slow breathing practices, some gentle swaying, practicing yoga nidra. Anything that's going to bring down, regulate your nervous system is going to be really helpful for that. If you are the type of person that feels just really sluggish and heavy, you've got really low energy, but you're also kind of foggy in your mind, you might need to add some of that light movement that I talked about, just some gentle stretching or some light movement to help regulate yourself in that way. And having natural sunlight in the daytime is also going to be super important if you're that kind of sluggish, heavy type during the day. So think about that. What kind of tired am I? Am I more tired but wired, or am I more sluggish and heavy? And that's going to help you determine what kind of practices are going to match that energy. Something else I wanted to share is that a lot of people find it hard to sleep at night because suddenly they're getting a spike in cortisol. That's a stress hormone, and that normally naturally dips at night. It's normally highest in the morning when we first wake up, and then it takes a dip at night. But if you're under a lot of stress, if you have, poor habits when it comes to exposing yourself to light or to screens, or maybe you're just up worrying about something going on in your life that can cause a spike in cortisol and wake you up. So if that happens, there's a couple tricks, there's a couple techniques that you can do just to test it. Splashing some cold water on your face or just getting cold water on a washcloth and then pressing it to your face. Although that sounds like that would jolt you awake, what it does is it activates your vagus nerve and that can calm your nervous system if this truly is cortisol spiking. So that's been seen to reduce cortisol by around 25%. So you can start to test that and see if that works for you. If it absolutely does not work and it creates you to be more awake, then probably we're not dealing with cortisol spike here. But that's going to help you determine that. Also, if that cortisol spike is an issue, reset your circadian rhythm the next day by getting more light in your eyes early in the morning. And so, I mean, when if you're out there taking a walk and getting some natural light, don't wear sunglasses because it's actually important that the light reaches your eyes in order for your brain to really process that and adjust your melatonin and your cortisol accordingly. Some other things you can do for cortisol are just some gentle breath work practices. I've mentioned extended exhaling. Basically, what that is anytime you are extending or lengthening the exhale longer than the inhale, you are slightly activating your nervous system's rest and digest response. So this is really important to know because um, if you are too agitated or just revving a little too high in the nervous system, doing about 5 minutes of that, that's just 6 breaths a minute. Inhale for a count of 4, exhale for a count of 6. Or if your lung capacity is bigger than that, you can inhale for 5 and exhale for 8. Just as long as the exhale is longer, it doesn't matter how many seconds. It's more about the ratio of your breath. Practice that for about 5 minutes. It'll go by pretty quick. And this is going to help you. And that's something that you can do anywhere. It doesn't matter if you're in public or you're at home by yourself. It's a pretty simple thing to do that's incognito as well. And then, of course, there are some somatic practices that are helpful. Rubbing, if you take your fingers like this and you were to rub right along the side of your neck. Some fingers are in front of the ear and some fingers behind, and you did this on each side. And you were to just rub up and down for a couple minutes. This is also going to help stimulate your vagus nerve, which is going to help shift you into that relaxation response. Humming really deep tones. The vagus nerve is also running through so many parts of your body along the back of the neck, behind the larynx. So when you make those deep humming tones, which is why sometimes people or they just hum, that's going to also activate the vagus nerve and help you feel more relaxed. But breath is also one of those factors. So I've given you a lot of things so far. We talked a little bit about cortisol spikes, sleep pressure, exposing yourself to light, some nighttime rituals, some daytime rituals that can help you. So I just want to emphasize, like, get the proper light you need first thing in the morning. Be consistent with the times that you wake up and the times that you sleep, and try to avoid screens and cool lights at night. Have a cool bedroom and do those little practices I gave you to try and have better sleep hygiene. When it comes to having a racing mind at night, let's say you pop up in the middle of the night, it's 3 a.m. and suddenly the thoughts are just scrolling on auto loop at high speeds. This is something that is a normal thing for many humans. You're not alone. There are literally billions of people out there probably struggling with the same thing. And here's the thing. A lot of times we get this idea that we are supposed to stop our thoughts. Like we're just supposed to cancel it. And there's some trick to just making them stop completely. But that leads us to feeling a lot of frustration because it's just not possible to do that. The only time the brain is going to stop thinking is if we were, brain dead. So that's let's just put that out of our minds for now and stop that fight against ourselves to try to stop the thoughts because that's going to be pretty futile and ultimately only make you more stressed out. But what we want to do is shift our relationship with the thoughts happening at night. Oftentimes, rumination at night is your brain trying to solve or process things it hasn't had time to process until now. So ask yourself, what's going on in my world that I'm not giving myself time in the day to process, to solve, to work through, to spend time tending to the parts of me that I've been neglecting in my daytime hours? Because if you are keeping yourself so busy throughout your day and distracted with lots and lots of things to do, or maybe numbing out, watching lots of TV and scrolling on social media, you're not there's something deeper that we're often avoiding with when we are falling into those traps of numbing or staying overly busy. It's because there's like this little voice inside that says, if I slow down or if I pay attention and I'm present here, I'm going to reveal what's underneath, where I feel uncomfortable about my life, where there's some unfinished business going on or difficult conversation that I need to approach. And so we keep ourselves from wanting to feel that often because it is uncomfortable and it's easier to just not think about it. But ultimately, that bites us when we wake up in the middle of the night and there's nothing there to distract you. So you're suddenly meeting all of those things that you haven't processed yet. So here's my advice for that. Get some journaling practice in. It's called a worry dump or just a stream of consciousness writing before bed. I mean, you can do it really anytime. Before bed is helpful if you're struggling with this. Like write down all the things that are swirling in your mind so your brain doesn't have to hold it. It's not that you're going to have all the answers or that you're going to be able to solve it by writing it down. But what you can do is say, I'm going to commit to, let's say something really intense comes out or something really crucial comes out that you need to take care of. Write out or make a commitment to yourself. Tomorrow, I'm going to make this a priority. Tomorrow, I'm going to set aside 10 minutes of time or whatever the time you need to handle this. Make yourself that commitment so that you are basically saying, it's okay. You don't have to hold it all in tonight. And that commitment is going to be enough for you to go, okay, I've made this promise. I'm going to handle it tomorrow. And now I can let myself relax. I know that is sort of like trying to play a trick on yourself, but it actually does help. It does help a lot. And so I think it's something that we have to really consider instead of seeing our thoughts as the enemy, they're just messengers of something that's going on deeper. And so we can learn how to not be at war with ourselves and actually learn to do some deep listening to what's going on, because that's the way that we release and we let go of the backlog. When we suppress or numb or distract and we just continue to do that, that stuff stays inside. Like there's a saying, the issues live in your tissues. The body keeps the score. It's a really popular book. Read it if you haven't yet. Because sometimes people are holding on to tension in their bodies that they've held on to for decades. So the longer you continue to go without tending to the things that need to be tended to, the more it's going to show up for you at night. And it will also show up for you in your meditation. So the same thing applies to meditation. When people are like, I have racing thoughts in meditation. I can't calm my mind. I can't stop slowing down or having that space. It's because you have a pretty big backlog and it's showing itself to you. So just let your breath meet those thoughts when they show up. Practice bringing your attention to something that is soothing, calming, not as a bypass, like a spiritual bypass, but if you are waking up in the middle of the night and you've already done this journaling practice, you've already given yourself time and space in your day, maybe through talk therapy or some dance therapy or other kinds of therapies, you've done journaling, you've given yourself that space and it's still showing up at night, let your breath meet those thoughts. Bring your attention to something that is going to be soothing for your nervous system and let that sort of marry with the worry or the intensity of what's going on over here, the parts of you that need tending to can be held by the nurturing space that you're creating through a meditation or through a practice. And I've already given you some of those practices, extending your exhales. Some people like doing 4-7-8 breath, where you inhale for 4, you hold for 7, and you exhale for 8. That tends to work better for some people. Others just like the plain simple inhale for 4 and exhale for 6. Test it out and see what works for you. These are really helpful. Also, body scans. Body scan is where you systematically bring your attention through your body part by part. It can be really comprehensive and go very deep into every little body part, or it can just be a sort of simple scan from the top of your head down to the soles of your feet, and you can do it pretty fast. But that's going to be also really helpful for you to just be present in what's here in your body and in the sensation. It sort of shifts your attention from the intellectual mind into the body sensations in this moment. And that can be really helpful for a lot of people. And for others, it's not the right practice. It's not a one size fits all. So these things that I'm giving you today is more for you to explore and figure out what is going to work for me, because we're all different. For other people, it's guided imagery, guided visualization, visualizing themselves floating on the water or walking through a beautiful forest or being lazy on a beach. You know, what is it that works for you? Visualize that. Some people can't visualize and that doesn't work for them. So again, find what's right for you. And then just be compassionate with yourself. When your thoughts come, see if you can just greet them like clouds flowing by. You know, we may not enjoy the weather, but we're not trying to stop it. We know that that doesn't make any sense to try to stop a cloud, right? Just see it, greet it, let it pass on through. It will pass through on its own. It will dissolve on its own. It is not a threat. It's just passing through, showing us something. And we can breathe and just see it float right by. So that's how I would recommend you manage with your thoughts when they show up intensely. Okay, so I've just handed you a lot, and I'm going to guide you now in a practice. You know, I've created some free guided yoga nidra practices that are helpful for deep sleep, and you can listen to them anytime, really, in the daytime or especially before bed. They're going to help sort of usher your body into sleep. But I'm just going to guide you through a really mini miniature version right now. And I'm going to link to this video after the session too, if you want to do it again. And I'm also going to link you to the more extended versions that you can have for free. So take a moment right now to join me in just getting comfortable, whether you want to sit or lie down. Typically, we do yoga nidra lying down, but just find what works for you right now. Let yourself be 5% more comfortable and then take a deep inhale and release. Feel your shoulders drop away from your ears. Allow any tension in your body that you've been holding to soften with your exhales. From the back of the neck and shoulders, between the eyebrows, the forehead, around the eyes and jaw, around your heart, through the abdomen, and through your whole body. Extending your exhales nice and long, feeling that sense of release. And then setting an intention for how you wish to feel. You might feel that intention here in your heart, where your breath and your heart meets. And then take a deep breath in On the exhale, release that intention for now. Slowly bring your attention to your right hand, your right thumb. Can you imagine your thumb like a magnet, attracting a healing energy or healing light from all directions around you, moving into your thumb, bringing a calm ease to your body? And now the index finger, healing light flowing through the middle finger, the ring finger, the little finger, back of the hand, palm of the hand. This radiant sensation flowing up the right wrist, forearm, elbow, upper arm, shoulder, collarbone. Now moving to the left collarbone, down the shoulder, the upper arm, left elbow, forearm, wrist, back of the hand, palm of the hand, your left thumb, index finger, middle finger, ring finger, and little finger. Both arms are now very still and relaxed. Healing energy flowing down into your heart, filling your heart, your lungs, your ribs, into the abdomen, lower abdomen, every organ, down through the pelvis, filling with healing energy, flowing through the right hip and thigh, the knee, the lower leg, shin and calf, ankle, top of the foot, the toes, sole of the foot. Now healing light flowing down through the left hip, the left thigh, hamstring, knee, shin and calf, ankle, top of the foot, through the toes, the sole of your left foot. Now this healing energy flowing through the sacrum, flowing up the spine, to the lower back, the middle back, the upper back, shoulder blades, to the neck, back of the head and ears, top of the head, filling the brain, calming the mind, flooding the forehead, the temples, the eyes, nose, cheeks, the mouth region, and jaw. Feeling your whole body now very supported by this healing energy. Feeling your whole body heavy, soft, supported, like a field of sensations coming and going. Notice how your body's feeling very heavy, grounded to the earth. You might also notice a lightness in the body, as though connected to the sky or floating. You may notice the warmth of the body, the radiant heat. You may also notice the coolness in the body, like a cool winter breeze on the skin. Very cool. Now resting here with that friendly dark space behind the eyes, behind the forehead. You might imagine you're lying here in a warm, quiet place, somewhere you feel completely safe. Maybe it's your cozy bed or a hammock in nature or floating on calm water or an empty beach. There's nothing to do, no one to please, just you and this deep sense of stillness, peace. Feel your body melting into that safe space, like a candle softening in warm light. Feel your breath slow, effortless, and let go each exhale, letting go, letting go. Begin to deepen your breath just slightly. And if you wanted to use this to fall asleep, just let yourself gently drift to sleep. Otherwise, you can wiggle your toes and fingers and gently roll your head from side to side. If your eyes are closed, you can blink them open slowly. And just take a moment to notice how you feel. Notice any sense of calm you've been able to cultivate. And welcome back. Namaste. All right. So perhaps you are in a very relaxed, calm space and you want to stay there. But I do want to open it up just for these last couple moments. If anyone has a question that you want to share, you can either put it in the chat or you can unmute yourself and say it now. Um, just love to hear any feedback or comments or questions from you now before we part ways.
Leah, I have a question just regarding pain. A
Yep.
lot of times I wake up at night just I lower back pain,
Okay.
sciatic pain, and it's a daily thing. And I'm on daily meds, but it's the worst. Um, I have used your app, the pain meditation, but sometimes I just have to get up for like 3 hours, so
Yeah.
it's broken.
Right. Yeah. I mean, dealing with pain is like kind of on another level, right? It's going beyond just like the thoughts. Um, I imagine you're working with a doctor and you might have some remedies you could turn to or a chiropractor.
Oh, of
Um,
course.
yeah, you know, the best thing I can say for you is when it comes to pain, there's only really two ways we can either be with it and move into it as a physical sensation in the body, or we can sort of distract ourselves and pay attention to something different. That's kind of like the two routes to dealing with it from without medication, of course, if you don't have someone there to alleviate it in the moment. So in the balance app, for those rest of you that might be listening, there's a pain single, a meditation for pain, and we tend to bring people to just noticing and witnessing it as the physical sensation, which can be helpful in the moment. Otherwise, bringing your attention to something that you can immerse yourself in that is deeply comforting to you, may be where you need to go with it. So perhaps it's picturing or imagining a time in your life when you felt you had a lot of freedom in your body and you were free from pain and you're feeling good. And you can maybe recall a time, maybe when you felt really, really good in your body. Maybe you were, hiked to the top of a mountain and you were looking out at a beautiful sunset, or maybe you were surfing or something. And at the end, you just sat there and looked at the waves. In a meditation, if you can bring yourself to the sense memory of that experience. Imagine the sights and the sounds when you were there. What did it smell like? What did it look like? Who was there with you? What did it feel like on your skin? What did it feel like in your body? And trying to recall those sense memories. It's like immersing yourself in a sort of a multimedia theater within that may help to transport you there in some way and provide you a little bit of relief. There's another resource that if you haven't already looked up, a Dr. John Sarno. He is, I believe, a chiropractor, a doctor, chiropractor, and he wrote a book about the mind-body connection. And that book was really eye-opening for me because he talks a lot about people who struggle with back pain, specifically back pain, and how a lot of it is linked to suppressed emotions, suppressed suspended states of consciousness of past experiences that we haven't been able to fully either process or release. And so it gets stored in the body, in the tissues, creating actual tension in this around the spine and creating a lack of oxygen to that area. And so when we have physical tension in the body from holding things within us, we physically can't even oxygen, life force energy, prana, that good stuff can't reach those tissues the same. And so that just subtle lack of oxygen to those areas creates pain. And sometimes doctors don't even understand why the pain's there. Like they're like, well, I can't see any physical structures that are wrong, but it doesn't really show up that way on their scans. So when we work on releasing tension in the body through meditation practices, through gentle stretching and other things like yoga nidra, we can start to open up those tissues to receive that oxygen that they couldn't receive anymore when we release physical tension. But here's the caveat. What tends to happen with that is that suddenly we relive or experience to some degree the thing which we were holding inside. So if it was anxiety that was held inside the body, we might feel it like restlessness leaving the body. We might feel fidgety and really restless and not understand why. If it was grief from loss that you've held in your body for years, that wasn't fully processed, you might feel tears or sadness or waves of that come on. It's like now it's showing up for you and saying, here's what's been living underneath. Can you be with me? Can you invite your breath to be with me? Can sometimes if it's overwhelming what we're experiencing, it's a sign that we may need to find some additional support, maybe through some types of therapy. I mentioned a few: art therapy, movement therapy, physical therapies, talk therapies. These are all helpful. Journaling is helpful to start to write out and process things that have been living underneath. But for you, John, and for anyone that's watching this that has pain in the body, I really recommend looking up that work from Dr. John Sarno and considering how, what am I holding inside? What stories and past experiences are living within me that I can start to pay attention to and let move through me and heal. Yeah. Matt,
Thank
question.
you.
Yeah.
Unmute. Hey,
Yeah.
Leah. Thanks
Hey.
so much for the meditation. Very relaxed now.
Mhm.
I just had a quick question. You were talking about what kind of tired, when you have to ask yourself what kind of tired earlier, and you
Yeah.
mentioned two different types. There's sort of a tired but wired, or a
Yep.
sluggish and heavy. You
Mhm.
mentioned, I kind of was thinking about it and then mentioned, I missed what you said next. It was sunlight during the day was important for one of those.
Yeah, for the sluggish heavy type, I mean,
Okay.
sun is important in the day for everyone, but I think especially if you notice yourself being low energy and foggy, having some movement practices and more sunlight, is going to support you. Yeah.
hmm And was it for the tired but wired? Was there
Yeah, that's
anything particular?
especially to the fact that your nervous system is dysregulated into slightly more sympathetic response, right? So the wiredness comes from too much sympathetic activation. So you have to practice what's going to bring me into my relaxation response. And that tends to be, there's literally thousands of ways to do that, but it's finding
Body
what
scans
you.
and things would be one.
Yeah, body scan, slow
Mm.
breathing, yoga
Yeah.
nidra, gentle swing. Yeah,
Okay.
bilateral stimulation.
Thank you. And one more quick question. Thank you for
Sure.
that. When you're doing the extended exhale, you're
Hmm.
talking about, to the ratio of a longer exhale.
Yep.
Does it matter? Is that through the nose or through the mouth, or does it not matter?
It doesn't really matter so much. I find that it's easier to sometimes regulate the breath and like extend it if you're doing it through the nose. There's something we do in yoga called ujjayi breathing or ocean breath, and it's where
Yeah.
you slightly contract the glottis in the back of the throat to create
Yeah.
a sort of Darth Vader or ocean sound, like that kind of sound people make when they're sleeping. Um, if you're really wanting to extend your breath and that's you're finding it hard, you could always do that. But otherwise, it's just very simple. In through the nose, out through the nose, or in through the nose and out through the mouth. I don't think there's a really big difference for you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think through the nose is sometimes easier to slow it down or control it, but yeah, I
Yeah.
know that Ujjayi breathing would do that as
Yeah,
well. So,
for some people, breathing through the mouth makes them feel a little bit more anxious because I think about the times when you're like afraid of something. You might be doing a lot of mouth breathing, hyperventilating.
yeah,
So
it's related to
if
that.
if
Yeah.
breathing through the mouth isn't really helpful, try through the nose. But if your nose is plugged, breathe through your mouth.
Mhm. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions, comments? Melanie?
Yeah, I had two questions actually. I mentioned at the beginning of the video we had together that my sleep is like I don't struggle sleeping, like I fall asleep straight away. I sleep through the whole night. Sometimes I wake up once in the night, but no matter what I do, I wake up tired. Like even now, I'm sort of feeling heavy. And that doesn't matter if I'm doing a yoga nidra and a yoga class, like a gentle sort of yin yoga and then yoga nidra before going to bed. If I cut down the screens, if I wake up in the morning and I take some time to do some breathing exercise, like whatever I do, I
Hmm.
always wake up tired.
Feeling good.
And yeah, and my dreams are wild. They're either violent or they just don't make sense. I dream about like really weird stuff and they're really intense. So I wake up and I'm okay,
Mm,
I'm not in my dream anymore. And that's every single night. Maybe there is one night out of 15 that I have a normal sort of dreams and I'm like, oh yeah, it was cool tonight. Like it was not too wild.
okay.
So
Few things
yeah.
here. How much sleep are you getting at night? Like how many hours?
Um, I always get between 7.5 and 9. Like I always try to have good sleep, long.
Yeah. Yeah. Because for some people, like some people need up to 10 hours of sleep at night, honestly. Um, and others are fine with 6. So it really just depends on your body type, and what works for you. You might find that, you need to stick more to like the 9 or 10 range. Um, Even though that sounds like a lot, especially women. Women tend to need more sleep on average than men,
Mm.
um, because of the way that our bodies and our biology works. So, not feeling any shame about that if you need to have an earlier bedtime and than normal than other people, because that might just be what your body needs. And at the same time, the fact that you mentioned that you're having really wild and intense dreams, sometimes like anxiety kind of dreams. Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's I get killed or I'm about to get
Mhm.
killed or other things. Like it's yeah, that kind of
This
wild.
this is often These kinds of dreams are often a signifier that there are some things unprocessed in your daytime life, whether it's from your past or it's from your current life. Because in dreams, we're sort of working out the taboos of we're sort of working out what the dangers are and the things that we can't process. Being chased, being killed is often like a sign that there's some space in life, an area in your life where you're not feeling safe, or perhaps it's something from the past. Maybe it's not even current. Uh, and so this might be something that you want to start digging into a little bit, or asking yourself, does that resonate at all? Like if it doesn't, forget about it. But I think it might be worth the question of going, are there past traumas that need to be worked through and processed? And they're showing up in my dreams because there's no other space for them to be worked through or
Mm.
processed. And it doesn't mean that you will dream about the exact scenario. Usually we'll dream in symbols and analogies. Um, and the things that we're afraid of, and working through our taboos and the things that we don't allow ourselves to, or we can't do in our daytime hours. So it might be worth, seeking some additional therapies for like, what could be going on here? And people who are versed in depth psychology might be good people to talk to, because they understand the depth of like the archetypes and the things that show up in dreams and symbols.
What sort
So
of
that might
psychology?
Depth psychology
Depth
would
psychology.
be worth
Okay.
looking into. Yeah. Um, and even just doing a little research on your own about like symbolism and dreams and what those things equate to, because it might point to something that you could work on in your daily world, to create more safety, to process things that maybe need to be released or worked through or healed.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Or if there's
Thank
like
you.
sometimes like if we're struggling with, feeling like not a sense of control in our world, um, in our dreams, it's like everything's falling apart in our dreams, which can be so stressful that we don't relax when we're asleep, you know,
Mm.
that could lead to that. Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome. All right. So if there's any other burning questions or comments, I'm open to hear them now. Otherwise, I will say sayonara and thank you. All right, buddy. Bye, everyone.